Evening everyone, myself Kiran Tak and today we will discuss about reproductive health. This chapter is taken from 12th biology NCERT book, and in this chapter these are the contents which we will going to discuss. We will start with the introduction part, then the reproductive health, its problem and how we will overcome this problem with different strategies. Then we will discuss about the population explosion and birth control. Then we will discuss medical termination of pregnancy, also known as MTP. Then sexually transmitted diseases that are also known as STDs. And at the last, we will discuss infertility. So let's begin with the introduction part. As reproductive health is a very important component for an individual to be considered as healthy, that's why an individual should be aware of his or her reproductive health. So, according to the WHO, World Health Organization, reproductive health means a total well being in all aspects of reproduction. That means physical, emotional, behavioral, and social. And when an individual is physically, emotionally, behaviorally, and socially well being in all aspects of reproduction, then that individual will be considered as reproductively healthy. Now, why is it necessary to know about the reproductive health of an individual population and or population? So the main objective of increasing the awareness is that it is very important to educate every youth, that includes fertile couples or the marriageable groups, so that they get the proper information about the birth control options. They should know how to take care of pregnant mothers. They should know that the how to take care of the mother and the child after the delivery, so that the number of diseases, various infectious diseases can be prevented. They should understand the importance of the breastfeeding, and they should know that what are their male and female child should get equal opportunities in all the fields, and what are the complications of early pregnancy and infertility. And also it creates awareness about safe sexual practices. So it will give proper information about reproductive organs, adolescence and related changes, safe and hygienic sexual practices, STDs like AIDS, so that the person will may get reproductively healthy life. And apart from that, there is also a different awareness that should be created among the population, that about the uncontrolled population growth and the social evils that are like sex abuse and sex related problems. And when they get to know about these problems, they will be socially responsible, and it will be lead to a healthy society. So how we can maintain a reproductive health? So the components are balanced diet that will give proper nutrition and minerals to the body. The next is exercise regularly. So it is very important to exercise daily to maintain the hygiene and prevent drugs and junk food. And apart from that, it is also very important to maintain the mental health, because uh, as to maintain with the reproductive system, the emotional, with the physical health, emotional, behavioral, and mental health is also included in the reproductive health. So mental peace is also very important. So now reproductive health. what are the problems and how to overcome these problems with different strategies. So there is a concepts that includes sexual and reproductive health and rights, which is in the South Asian area, especially in the especially the Indians. They are ignorant about this concept because of the taboos for of the sex and sexually, which has rooted so deeply, so that they cannot even understand that these are the problems. And generally these problems are faces by the women on a daily basis. But it is very good to know that India was amongst the first country in the world that initiate action plans and programs at a national level, so that the reproductive health of the population can be improved. So in 1951, the family planning was introduced, and family planning is a service that allow an individual to achieve desired birth spacing, which we all know that is 3 years, and family size, and contribute to improve the health of the every individual of the family. The next one is the Reproductive and Child Health Care RCH programs, which is an improved program from the family planning, and that includes the creating the awareness among the population. It provides facilities and support for the building up a reproductive healthy society that includes the infrastructure and the professional requirements for the awareness and the facilities. According to 2019 report of Family Planning Association, it has been found that 14% of pregnancies amongst women with they are under age 20, they are unplanned. Over 34% of adult married girls admitted to being physically, emotionally, or sexually assaulted. 50% of maternal death among girls from 15 to 19 years of age occur due to unsafe abortion practices. 60% of women in the age group 15 to 19 were found anemic, which contributes majorly to age-specific mortality amongst adults. So, as we can see that the age group is very minor, so they do not they are not well informed about the reproductive health, and that's why they were facing that type of problems. So as India is a poor country and not a very high percentage of individuals are literate here, so this is a very high percentage that we can see here. So for creating awareness, there is a very important role of government here, and uh, the awareness can be created by the audio, visual, and the print media, governmental and non-governmental agency, and to create awareness, government also provided some oral contraceptives like Saheli and Chaya. Both are non-steroidal oral contraceptives, but they are from different trademarks. Like Saheli was developed by the scientists at Central Drug Research Institute (CDRI) in Lucknow, India, and Chaya is from the another institute, and both are the Centroman. The next point is the awareness can also be given by the parents, other close relatives, teachers, and friends with the help of the discussion. And it is very important that the Indian education system should introduce sex education as a part of it, so that there is the discouragement of the myths and misconception that are um, among the children's about the sex related aspects. So when all the populations are aware about the problems, then how these problems are can be removed, or how the government can implement various action in the population. So what are the requirements? So first is the strong infrastructural facilities with professional expertise, and with the material support what they are actually required. And the reproductive related problems can be pregnancy, during the delivery, STDs, abortion, contraception, menstrual problems, and infertility. And amniocentesis, as it is a fetal sex determination test which is actually based on the chromosomal pattern to check whether the developing embryo is suffering from some type of disease or not. But this type of sex determination process is will lead to the misuse. Because of the misuse, it will lead to the female feticide, so it is very stricted. And uh, the it is also used to uh, check the different type of diseases, whether the developing embryo is suffering from the disease or not. And the other thing is that there is a massive child immunization that includes measles, mumps, and rubella, so that the developing embryo can be prevented from this type of diseases. The next is the population exclusion and birth control. So what is basically the population exclusion is? The population exclusion is the increase in size and growth of human population. So when all the uh, facilities are improved, or all the uh, populations are informed about the proper reproductive health of the individual, then obviously the population explosion will take place. But the other reasons can be the decline in the death rate. So the death rate, or we can say the mortality rate, it is the number of death in a particular population per unit time, which is measured as the size of that population is decreases. So if the death rate is decreases, then then there will be increase in the size of the population. Then the second is the decline in the maternal mortality rate. So maternal mortality rate, or we can say maternal death, so it is the number of maternal death during a given time period per 100,000 live births during the same time period. So when 100,000 live births are given by the mother, then in this particular time, the rate at which there is the maternal death, it is known as the maternal mortality rate. When it is decline, then again there is increase in the size of population. The third is the decline in infant mortality rate. So when the infant mortality rate is the number of infant death for every 1000 live birth. So when there is the decline in the death rate, maternal mortality rate, and infant mortality rate, then it will lead to the increase in the number of the people which are in the reproducible age. So more there will be more in number of uh, offspring will be formed, and thus the population explosion will take place. And again, when these reproducible age have the longer lifespan, then again a population explosion takes place. And because of the religious beliefs against birth control and lack of reproductive health knowledge, population it will directly result in the population explosion. According the reproductive health and child health program, this program helps to bring down the population growth rate. So the population growth rate, it is the annual average rate of change in population size for a given country, territory, or geographic area during a specific period. So it is the change in the population size. That means the size can be increases or it can be decreases. So it is the change. The growth rate can be, it is, if the growth rate is increases, then there is the population explosion will takes place. As in 2001 census report, it was found that the growth rate was 1.7%. That means 17 people per thousand per thousand individual are increases per year per year, and it is calculated that in the 33 years the population will be double. And as we can see that in March 2020, the world population is reached up to nearly 8 billion. So it is really a very uh, uh, a high, very the growth rate is very high, and the population is continuously increasing, and this is an alarm that there will be a scarcity of even the basic requirement there due to the continuous increase in the population for food, shelter, and clothing. So the government has taken a very serious actions so that the population growth rate can be maintained. As we can see that in India from 2010 to 2020, their population growth rate is continuously increases, but because of the proper information and awareness, the growth rate is continuously decreases. But due to the uh, increased number of the individual in the reproducible age and the decline in the death rate, the population growth rate is continuously increases even though the growth rate is decreases. And the current average population is 81 million per year. But in the 1960s, it was found that the growth rate was 2%, which was the maximum uh, growth rate till now. Okay, so to control the population explosion, to uh, control it, the birth control is a very important uh, important, and there are several awareness programs that helps to uh, aware the population for the birth control, like the advertisement that includes the slogan like "Hum do hamare do, we too our too," and many couples adopted the one child norm, and the marriageable age, which is for female is 18 years, and for male it is 21 years. And there are several contraceptive methods. They are helpful to prevent the unwanted pregnancy, and the ideal contraceptive should be user friendly, easily available, effective, and reversible with no or least side effects. And it should not interfere with the sexual drive, desire, and all the sexual act of the user. So there are different contraceptives methods that can be used by a group of the population. So the contraceptives can be natural or traditional, barrier, intrauterine devices that are IUDs, oral contraceptives, injectables and implants, and surgical methods. Now we will study one by one each contraceptive method. So the first is natural method. In this method, the chances of the meeting of the ovum and sperm is reduced by the natural method. First is periodic abstinence. It is also known as fertility awareness, natural family planning, and the rhythm method. It is basically depend on the fertile period, which is 10 to 17 days during the menstrual cycle. In this period, the ovulation is not be expected, and thus fertilization will not be takes place, and it will prevent the fertilization process. The next is withdrawal or coitus interruptus. So, in this case, the coitus is interrupted, and thus the sperm cannot be fertilized with the ovum. The third is lactational amenorrhea or absence of menstruation. So, in this method, during the uh, menstruation, there is some time period during which menstruation doesn't takes place, and this time period is after the parturition, and it is lactational period, which is intense lactation takes place in this period. So for the 6 month, there is this intense lactation phase. So in this period, ovulation doesn't takes place. So it is again a natural method for the contraception. But this method, as I said, that it is last for only 6 months following the parturition, and as no medicines or devices are used in this method, so the side effects are almost nil, and but the chances of failures are also high. The next method is barrier method or physical contraceptives. So in this method, there is a barrier which divides the ovum from the sperm so that they cannot meet and fertilize. They are available for both male and female. So the first are condoms. They are made of thin rubber or latex sheath, and they covered the penis in the male or vagina and cervix in the female, so that the sperm and ovums are separated. And there is a popular brand that is known as Nirod for condoms for male, and use of condoms has increased in recent years because it is found that they are protect the user from contracting STDs, sexually transmitted disease, and AIDS. The next is diaphragm, cervical cap, and vaults, which are available for female, and they are inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix during the coitus. They prevent the conception by blocking the entry of sperms through the cervix. They are reusable. They are spermicidal creams, jellies, and foams are sometimes used with them because they kill the sperm, and that's why the fertilization cannot be takes place. The next is IUDs. IUDs are intrauterine devices. These devices are inserted mainly in the vagina of the female, and they changes the environment of the uterus so that the ovum cannot be fused with the sperm. The first is the non-medicated IUDs, example lips loops. The next is the copper releasing IUDs, example copper T, copper 7, multiload 375. These actually IUDs have a tendency to phagocyte the sperm. The copper releasing IUDs reduce the sperm motility, and thus it reduces the fertilizing capacity of sperm. The next is the hormone releasing IUDs, that are progestasert and LNG20. These IUDs are they the uterus is unsuitable for implantation, and the cervix hostile to the sperm because they changes the uterine lining so that the implantation does not takes place, and thus they are act as the contraceptives. The IUDs are ideal contraceptives for the females only. The next is the oral contraceptives. or chemical contraceptives. They are the chemicals and taken orally. They are for females only, and they are used as tablets, and they are also known as pills. They contain progestogens or progestogen estrogen combination. So the mode of action is they inhibit the ovulation process or the implantation, as well as they alter the quality of cervical mucus and thus prevent or retard the entry of the sperm. And they also have lesser side effect, and they are well accepted. As the medications is as as we can see in this figure, that with each medicine the day is given, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is the green color. One week is separated by the green color, and there are no pills present here. So there is a the pills are taken in continuously 21 days, and there is a gap of 7 days. These 7 days are the period of the menstruation, and the tablet can be start from after the menstruation. Like if this is the first day of menstruation and this is the seventh day of the menstruation, and after that if there is Sunday, Friday, then the medication will be start from this, and the person will take the medication in this way, so that it will be easy to remember the day during the menstruation. And uh, the one of the oral contraceptive is Saheli, which is a non-steroidal preparation and oral contraceptive, which but this is taken once a week. This is a different type of contraceptive, uh, which uh, which is not steroidal. That means it doesn't contain progestogen or progestogen estrogen combination, but it is a, a chemical. It has a chemical which has the estrogen receptor modulating activity. So it is taken once a week, and which is easy to remember. The next is injectables and implants. The injectables and implants, they are inserted in the vagina. Like the injectables may be like the pills. They are progestogen, or they can be progestogen estrogen and progestogen estrogen combination, and they are more effective than pills because they are injectables and they are in the pure form. And when the injectables are uh, taken after that 72 hours of coitus, then they are very effective, and they are also called as the emergency contraceptives to avoid the possible pregnancy. The next is surgical method, or we can say sterilization. So sterilization are present for both male and female partner, and it is a terminal method to prevent any more pregnancy. And in this method, the gamete transport is prevented. So when the sterilization is takes place in the male, this is known as vasectomy, and in female it is called as tubectomy. In uh, basically in this process, uh, the transport of the gametes is prevented. So, in males, the gametes are transferred from the scrotum. This is the scrotum, and this is the penis. So, from the scrotum, with the help of the vas deferens, it is transferred to the penis. So, to block this transport, vas deferens is cut and tied, so the mature sperm will not be transported here, and thus the contraception takes place. And in female, the it is the ovary, and this is the fallopian tube, and it is the uterus. So the ovum, mature ovum, will be released from the ovary. Then through the fallopian tube it will enter into the uterus. So when fallopian tube is cut and tied, then it is not possible for the ovum to be transported to the uterus. Thus the entry of the ovum is prevented in the uterus. Okay, and these techniques are highly effective, but their reversibility is very poor. Now, medical termination of pregnancy. So, it is the intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before full term, and it is also known as induced abortion. Nearly 45 to 50 million MTPs are performed in a year all over the world, which accounts one fifth of the total number of conceived pregnancy in a year. Then yes, as we can see that it is an induced abortion. So then why MTPs takes place? So there are so the reason is to get rid of unwanted pregnancy, and then there are some complications during the pregnancy. Then it is very important to terminate that type of pregnancy. Like when there is some complication and which is fatal to mother, fetus, or both mother and fetus, then it is very important to abort the child. The MTPs are safe only during the pregnancy, and after the first trimester, and uh, after the second trimester, it is not allowed to abort the child, because it will be riskier for the mother. Then the government of India legalized MTP in 1971, but there are so many misuse of like the it is performed illegally by unqualified individuals, which can be unsafe but could be fatal for the mother too. And it is also very dangerous to uh, for the uh, mother, because for the female child, because the amniocentesis will directly lead to the female feticides, and the female it will MTP will increase the percentage of the female feticide. The next is the sexually transmitted diseases. So the diseases or infection which are transmitted through the sexual intercourse are collectively called as sexually transmitted diseases or venereal diseases, or we can say reproductive tract diseases. They are gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, hepatitis B, and HIV, leading to AIDS, which is the most dangerous one. The transmission of AIDS can be uh, can by the sharing of infected uh, in injections, needles, surgical instruments with infected person, transfusion of bloods, or from an infected mother to the fetus too. Except for hepatitis B, genital herpes, and HIV infection, all the other diseases are curable, because these are these hepatitis B, genital herpes, and HIV infection are caused by the virus, and the other diseases can be cured, and treated properly. And they are very severe diseases, but the early symptoms of these diseases are very minor, like itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swellings in the genital region. In infected females, sometimes they the diseases are asymptomatic, and it may remain undetected for so longer period of time, like in AIDS. uh, as they are showing very minor symptoms, so they can be lead to various complications like pelvic inflammatory diseases, abortion, stillbirth, ectopic pregnancy, infertility, or even cancer of the reproductive tract. So it is very important to prevent such type of diseases, as STDs are the threat to our society, and it takes place majorly within the 15 to 24 years of age. Okay, so as we know that prevention is better than the cure, so the prevention are: avoid sex with unknown partner or multiple partners. Next is always use condoms during coitus. And in case of any doubt, one should go to a qualified doctor for early detection and get complete treatment if diagnosed with disease. The last topic for today's session is infertility. So when a large number of so in this case, the large number of couples all over the world, including India, are infertile because of the uh, lifestyle, because of using so much amount of drugs, junk food, and so much stress. It will directly affect the reproductive health of an individual. And the reason can be physical, congenital diseases, drugs, immunological, or even psychological. But but often the female is blamed, but most of the time the problem is in the male partner. So to overcome this problem, there is a technology which is known as the assisted reproductive technologies that include in vitro fertilization and in vivo fertilization. So in vitro fertilization, the fertilization is takes place outside the body, and the in vivo fertilization, the fertilization is takes place inside the body. In vitro fertilization, in fertilization, as the environment present inside the body, the environment is given to the developing embryo outside the body in the laboratory, and thus it is popularly known as test tube baby. So in this technique, as we can see here, the egg production is stimulated with the hormone therapy. When the ovulation takes place, the egg is retrieved from the ovary and is collected in a dish, and the sperm is collected from the other sample, and the fertilization takes place outside the body. Okay, and then after the fertilization, if the embryo is up to the up to 8 blastomere stage, then it is transferred into the fallopian tube with the help of the technique ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian tube. Zygote is transferred into the fallopian tube, and if the embryo is more than the 8 blastomeres, then the blastomere, it is transferred to the uterus, and this process is called as IUT, that is intrauterine transfer. The transfer it is in uterus, and there the in the uterus the complete development of the embryo will be takes place. The next is the in vivo fertilization. So the fertilization takes place inside the body. So in this technique, the ovum is collected with the help of the catheter with the from the female who can produce the ovum, and it is transferred to the other female who cannot produce it. So the ovum is transferred from one female to another female. That means transfer of gamete from one fallopian tube to the other fallopian tube. that is gift gamete intrafallopian transfer. Okay, and there it will be fused with the sperm and the fertilization will takes place. The next process is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So in this case, outside the body, the sperm is injected in the cytoplasm of the ovum. That's why intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Next technique is artificial insemination technique. So when the male partner is not able to uh, uh, produce a specific amount of sperm, or due to very low sperm count, the uh, the individual sperm, the semen is collected, and when it is reached up to a proper count of the sperm, then it is artificially inseminate in the uh, vagina of the female, and thus it is called as the artificial insemination technique. The next is the IUI, intrauterine insemination. In this technique, the semen is collected from the husband of the female or the other healthy individual, and then it is uh, uh, injected in the vagina or the uterus of the female, and then the fertilization is takes place in the uterus of the female. So these are the techniques that are available uh, for the in case of the infertility. But for to handle these type of techniques, specialized professional and expensive instruments are required. So these facilities are present at a very few centers in our country, and its benefit is taken by a very limited number of people as it is very costly, and there is an emotional, religious, and social factor that also deterrent to adopt these techniques. But uh, there are many orphanage and destitute children are there who actually need someone, so that someone to taken care of them, and they, because of that, they do not survive much, uh, do not survive, and they die, and they do not get the actual good quality of life. So personally, what I believe that it is a good way to give a life uh, to an orphan children, and also our laws permit a legal adoption, and it is as yet which is the best method for couple who are looking for the parenthood. Thank you.